Hey, good evening, everybody. How's it going today? Texas Redleg here. Hope everybody had a great weekend. And you're able to knock out some things you needed to knock out, top off some preps, fill some of those holes that you needed to fill. So I hope you were successful in that. Please communicate about your, if you're so inclined, comment about your successes or things you might need going forward still. Some of us might know exactly where to point you in the right direction. So, anyway, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate all that. I'm trying to grow this thing. I know, again, I've got a lot of work to do, but still going to try to get it done. So, I'm trying to stay positive and hope you guys are too. In today's video, I want to talk about a subject that's very popular, especially now, and that is the subject of bugging in or bugging out. And of course, that's always a personal choice, unless you're not given a choice anymore. It becomes pretty simple at that point. But to bug in or to bug out, I've always, erred on the side of staying in. And the reason for that, and I'm talking about my personal situation, the reason for that is, I've got things where I want them, it's comfortable, and got, stocks and this, that, and the other. So I believe that your home is your castle, Also, if you are so lucky to have any neighbors that feel like you do and have prepared like you do, you might have some mutual assistance groups there, or MAGs as we call them, mutual assistance groups. And if you are so lucky to have a MAG, not all of us are, other than family, but do you have meetings? Do you discuss things? Do you talk about the situations going on? Are you regularly in communication about not everything under the sun, but scenarios, and if this happens, we're doing this, that, whatever the case may be. So you need to kind of have some good communications. If you're in a MAG, you need to be talking about things and who's sort of leading the group, and have some strategies and some plans in place as a group, so everybody's not frazzled if something actually does go down. Are you stocked? Do you have your communications set up? Have you tested them out? There's a lot of things that go into this stuff other than just talking about it and buying things. You got to have the mental capacity and wherewithal to think ahead and anticipate problems, and figure out a way to plan and prep for all those scenarios that could come your way. And I think being at home is just one of those things that, or bugging in, so to speak, is one of those things that it's a comfortability level that a lot of people have. Of course, the age old question is, how do you know when it's time to go? And when you decide to go, is it going to be too late to go? Can you get there? Can you even actually go where you're going to go? And so that brings us to the idea of bugging out. So people talk about bugging out. Well, I'm going to bug out. Okay, well, where are you going to go? Because just hitting the road, not having an end destination that is safe or reasonably safe and prepared, man, that's dicey as hell. And it's not like TV. It's not like on the movies where people just get in the car and drive. I mean, if it gets bad enough where you have to abandon your property, number one, you need to realize if it's that bad, whatever you had probably ain't going to be there if you ever come back. So it's a tough decision to make. It's not a decision that's taken lightly in my view, especially if you own the property. If you're just renting something, I could see where whatever. But if you actually have investment in that property, a home, condo, what have you, and you end up leaving that, there's a good chance that it's going to be, trashed or burnt to the ground or occupied by the time you get back for it. So, tough decision to make. Don't wish that upon anybody. But if you're going to bug out, you got to know where you're going. All right, you going family or friends, or you just hitting the road. You got to have some finality to these objectives and where you're going. Can you get there? Do you know the different routes that it takes to get somewhere? Because just hitting the interstate probably ain't going to cut it. All right. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of issues if it comes to that, and people actually have to hit the road to evacuate. You're going to see a mess like you ain't never seen. So you need to know several different routes that go back roads. Okay. Hopefully you've got a vehicle that is capable of doing some off-roading, because that'll sure help. But not only do you need to know the routes, you need to have maps. I'm not talking about a map on your phone. I'm talking about a paper map, or like in Texas we have this big book of Texas maps. It's just like a huge atlas, and a bunch of pages in it. Something like that's pretty damn handy. And you got to have those old school maps if you're trying to get somewhere. You got to be able to obtain those items beforehand, because if it gets bad enough to evacuate, services are probably going to go down, and you're going to be left with the old school manual methods of doing things. So you might want to pick up a deck of cards too. Dominoes, dice, whatever the case may be. Okay, and also with that, knowing the route, knowing how to get there, knowing alternate routes, huge, but also fuel. You're going to have fuel to get where you need to go. What about supplies? What about communications? You have all that stuff nailed down or not? So you got to have the ability to communicate. You've got to have the ability to resupply your fuel tank, because all that's probably going to be a mess as well. So again, there's a lot more to think about if you have to evacuate, if you have to take off just because you want to bug out. It's probably not a great decision in my opinion, but you have to make your own. Again, I think you're safer at home until it's not safe anymore, and then, that's just one of those decisions that everybody has to make individually. Again, not an easy choice to make. But anyway, I prefer riding it out until it's, a detriment to do so anymore. Riding it out at home or wherever your living situation is. Because if you don't get out, if you leave too early, you might be giving up your property. Again, it's a tough call. If you leave too late, you might not be able to get to where you're going. So it's important that everybody pays attention, number one. And number two is capable of making the final decision on what to do and where to go if it comes to that. So anyway, something to think about, everybody. Anyway, I appreciate your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. It continues to get weird, and I think more unstable as the days go by. I think that people need to keep prepping. They need to top off their areas that they're deficient in and keep getting those seeds. So everybody keep prepping, stack it deep, and above all else, remember, long live the Republic.